Testing, testing.
Welcome, everybody. Nice breezy, nice subtle breeze going on tonight, Friday night. So, welcome to, and I noticed some new people walked in the room. They just walked out. Come back in. As I said last week, I've been remiss in identifying and welcoming the new people. So, we've got some new people. Just say your name, okay? And with you, okay. So after the meeting, guys, make them feel comfortable and welcome. So let me roll through our announcements real quickly here. This coming Tuesday is the last time we're going to be doing mat cutting. Chris and or Dennis will be doing it, and then it'll be September before we do it again. Next Friday, I've been really waiting for this one. John Paganini, John, John Paganini is going to be. I'm going to have him change his name. Basically a Lightroom beginning to end workflow. He's going to demonstrate everything you want to know about organizing all the way through to pricing. And then we have a Zoom meeting. This is Gregory Holden is going to talk about design elements in black and white, how do things interact like line form, pattern, textures, and so forth. Please, especially people that are still home, this is going to be our first Zoom meeting since I've been trying to get people into the club room, and we're doing pretty good now. So that's going to be a Zoom meeting. Okay, the mentoring program, we've got enough people, it appears, to run the program, but we'd like to have more mentors. And just a thought occurred to me is that I know from talking to other mentors that a lot of mentors go on for several weeks. And I'm thinking maybe that was tedious and they don't want to do it again. As a mentor, you get to describe your program. Like I usually only meet with people about 4 or 5 times. So mine's fairly because of the way I do it. So if you're a potential mentor or past mentor, consider that of maybe just hone it down a little if that's what's keeping you from being a mentor again. Contact Catherine Kengott if you would like to be a mentor. So this is not open yet. This is going to be our Westlake Porter Library exhibit, but I want you to be thinking about it. It doesn't open until a week from Sunday on March 22nd, and it's open until the 17th. It's away from home. These are the examples. This is on our website. You can enter up to 3 images through Shutterscore, and they'll be on display once it opens from May 31st until June 28th. And I just threw some dates out here just so you're aware, because some of these are out there a ways, but sometimes we tend to plan things in advance. Back to the Wild, very popular. The David Leach Research Station is for you flower lovers. I think it's out by Holden Arboretum, if I'm not mistaken. And then our summer picnic is August 22nd. We don't have all the details, but it is happening. We've rented a tent, and we are going to have a picnic again. It'll be out here just like it has been the past years. The 2 field trips are members only, and there's a cap on it. And the Back to the Wild fills up, so you might want to register for that. We have 4 of the most awesome schools. They actually are all running right now. We have Photoshop, Lightroom, Fundamentals, and we started our iPhone last night. The schools are great. They're functioning well. They're very successful. But we recognize every now and then we run into a situation in which we don't have, an instructor has to change with somebody else. And so what we're looking for is some substitute instructors. So I have put a link on our homepage, or you can go right to the volunteer page under information, and there is a link there for you to read the description. Please read it. There's only the 2 schools, the Lightroom and Fundamentals, that we're looking for instructors on. And the directors, Gary Bloom and Mike Hopkins, both of them have written a description of what they're looking for and what the expectation is. But if you feel comfortable, standing in front of people, and it does go away eventually, unless you mispronounce names. If you were a teacher before, there's a lot of people who have been teachers, but just consider that, because we would really like to have some backup. The end of year competition is open. I looked on Shutterscore today, and it is really, a lot of people are entering. You see the boxes in the back, we've got them. Deadline is March 27th at 9 o'clock, and there are no exceptions. Shutterscore shuts down, and we tape up the boxes. If you don't make that deadline, then you're going to have to wait till next year. Don't forget about the special awards that we have. Again, Catherine Kengott, if you've got any questions. So, up until a few minutes ago, I had a distinct problem because I think almost everybody in the room has gotten a prize. Are you new? Yes. Okay. It's been a while. What's your name? Maria. Okay, everybody make Maria feel comfortable. So what we're doing for those of you who are new is I'm enticing and bribing people to come into the club room. So I'm giving away prizes. They're not always the best prizes, but it's interesting. So those 3 of you who are new, would you come on up? And we're going to let you have a prize. Well, if you're bashful, one of you can pick for the other one. You can pick 2. Okay, you can stand over here. So, you're returning. I always let ladies go first. She's returning, so you're the newest. Pick a box. Nothing will bite you. Nothing will bite you or anything, okay?
The largest. Pick the largest box. So.
There's nothing in it because here's your prize. Really nice frame. I don't remember what you call that. There's a name for that. But really cool frame. You're welcome. Okay. Next lady.
Good things come in small packages.
Maybe not this time. She got a couple of filters. Yeah, 2 of them. Yep. Yeah, I'll keep my boxes. Thank you. That leaves you.
Wow.
So That's a pair of headphones that look like they're really high end, but if nothing else, the bag is really cool, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, enjoy. Okay, I'm going to now turn things over to Marge. Marge is our chair for the bee competition. She's got some introductory statements, and then our our classic editor is going to take over after that.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the last bee competition of the season. I just wanted to let you know we're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. The entry is going to be put up on the screen, and Richard is going to edit it, and then we're going to read the judges' comments and then the scores. Also, I wanted to remind you about the end of the year competition. You can enter 3 of your photos into Shutterscore to compete for the end of the year awards. They don't have to be pictures that have won a placement. Any pictures, 3 that you want to enter are fine, but they, like Chris said, they must be in Shutterscore by 9 o'clock on the 27th. And I noticed there's already some entries in there. So, make sure you put those entries in, and then the end of the year awards is on May 15th. And there will be first, second, and third places for the photos that are entered, and then 1 end of the year photo. So if you're lucky enough to have the end of the year photo for B, your picture will be framed and will hang on the wall in the lobby there. Does anybody have any questions about that? Everybody's okay with entering on Shutterscore and knows how to do it? Okay, well, our judges tonight are Mike Kopkas and Dave Saborik, and our other judge, Coleman Rosenthal, I guess didn't make it tonight, so Chris will be reading his comments.
Okay, thanks, Marge. Let me explain a little get the lights down, how tonight's going to work. As usual for a bee competition, these pictures were submitted to Shutterscore. The 3 judges that Marge just mentioned evaluated them. They made comments and they gave a score there as well. I am not involved in the judging. I am totally outside. I was just given these just to look at, so I carry no weight in this. So it'll be interesting also. I'll give you my opinion on these, and we'll do some editing up here, and then we'll read the judges' comments. Might totally disagree or whatnot, and we'll just go from there. And if anyone from the audience has any, you agree, disagree, have any comments, or you suggest something else on that, just let me know. So this is just like I said, we'll see what happens. So let's get to the pictures here. Get the spam off first. Okay. Okay, so this is our first picture. And I really like this one a lot. I think it captured the action beautifully. It's framed well. Everything is good. So I have no comment from a composition standpoint. The only thing when I looked at this too is I would make this, it just seemed, in looking at the histogram up here, it seemed a little bit flat. And I was just going to just bumping the exposure slightly. And there, same thing, before and afterwards, it just now pops, and we've got some more bright whites in the picture without blowing anything out. And I think the judges will comment too. Anytime we're entering for competition, you'd rather not put the logo on the bottom too. But those are my comments. So we'll read the judges' comments.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, good. My comment, great timing on this image of a juggler with a fast shutter speed, catching the hat floating in the air. The colors I thought were vibrant and really did add to the impact. I love the expression on the juggler's face because I think it shows both some concentration and enjoyment. And there's an implied diagonal. If you kind of look at the image, there's a diagonal through I was going the other way, but there's a diagonal through the hats as well. So I got the implied diagonal of the juggler's upper body also adds to the impact. And that's important, I think, when the diagonals add some dimensionality and some impact to an image. I do think the crop is just a little tight on the sides. And also, as Richard mentioned, we don't allow watermarks in competition. But overall, I thought this was a really nice image. The colors, especially because they're complementary colors, the blue and the yellow, really make the image stand out.
For those of you who are new to competition, the judges are scoring in 3 areas. They score for technique, composition, and impact. And a perfect score is a 27. All right, so the title of this picture is Asian Lantern Festival Show by Lana A, and the score is 23 points.
Okay, on this one, though it was very interesting. I don't have any information of what settings were used, but in low light, one of the things you should learn in post-processing, in low light and a high ISO, you can get a lot of noise. And if you look along the top up here, if I let's see if I increase it a little. Yep. You see the red, green, and blue specks along the whole top. That's color noise, and you could see it down there as well. There are many, many excellent denoise programs, but that kind of jumps out at you there. You don't see it in the lighter parts of the picture, but in areas that were darkened, or a little more dark, and that you brighten up, you can get that, and you can see it like right there. In the detail portion, sometimes, now this is a lot, but you can sometimes get rid of some of it. You can see the difference there and there. So that's just a technical thing too. If you've got areas that you're either lightening that were dark and you bring out a lot of noise, you should also learn to kind of denoise it. Otherwise, I thought the exposure, everything was really just nice here, composition. So I had no other technical things about this.
So Richard, you and I
Yeah.
are going to disagree a little bit on this.
Okay.
All right. Will, in a minute.
And anything you suggest, I would do up on the screen here. So
Okay, I just said that that Richard and I have a different suggestion on this one. He's right about the noise in the image. I wrote, this image highlights an interesting detail found in Trinity Cathedral. Seeing it makes the viewer look more closely, as he or she might wonder about what's being depicted, who carved it, and what are the age and origin of the sculpture. Composing the image by placing the sculpture in the center lets the viewer know that's where the attention should be placed. I thought the golden tones, the color in the image, gave a real warm feeling to the image and the cathedral itself. Placing a little more emphasis on the sculpture itself, you could lighten the sculpture a little, and you could darken its surroundings a little. And like Richard actually did in the last image, I might consider lightening the entire image.
oh, but you also wanted to see what a little vignette would. Did you say also just darkening a little around?
Yes, on the
Okay, so
sides
if you
and
did,
lighten the sculpture.
and okay, so we darkened around the side. Let's lighten the sculpture a little. We'll do just a. Oops.
Not that color.
No, I'm just choosing mine. lighten that. Let's see, bring up the whites a little. So overall, let me then just, oops, come down on this so we can see the whole thing. So overall then, what that looks like with those two adjustments there were, as Dave said, he's right, that your eyes go to that brighter area. We just darken that down a little and lighten up that. And now I agree. That's a much different, you know, your eyes are being drawn right to there. You don't lose any detail from the side.
Just out of curiosity, could you up the texture and clarity
Yes, I
for
was
that
thinking
middle?
now this is a low res film. Let's try doing the texture and see, because there's wood here.
It's probably going to be really subtle, but
Yeah, the texture is all the way up now, and let me see. Oh, wait.
kick the clarity up just a touch too, although that
Clarity up.
usually darkens it a bit, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, wait a second. I did it. I wasn't doing it
did it the
globally.
wrong one.
Here we go. Okay, here comes our texture up, and you could see. And I'll just do that. Yeah, it brings out
Well-
the noise more, but on the wood, as Mike was saying, here's the, you could see it gives a little more texture to the wood. So there it is with the little bit of texture and clarity. So all in all, I agree. I think the big thing with it, like you said, with the dodging, there it is back, and it just, your eyes now spread out between the whole picture, and drawn to both sides because it's a little lighter, to that subtle change in light balance. You see everything still, but your eyes are drawn to the center. So excellent. Okay.
Okay, the title is Baptismal Wall by Stephen Spencer, 20 points.
Okay. This I thought was interesting. The thing that just bothered me about it, just composition wise, when I looked at it, is the circle. I see the whole circle, looks like a Cadillac emblem, but I see the circle up here. There's space on the side, space on the bottom, but it's just cut off on the left. And so unless you're going in, and it doesn't look intentional too. So one of the things I just wanted to see, just out of curiosity, what it would look like if we just expanded that a little. So let's see, this is always a crapshoot there. There we go. So again, it gives that, your eyes aren't drawn immediately to that being cut off on the left. Otherwise, it's more like an abstract composition. That was the only technical comment I had.
Okay, Coleman said, this is a nice attempt at a close-up or macro shot. It appears maybe to be part of a Cadillac automobile. It's sharp where it needs to be, and there is good contrast for a black and white image. It may not have been possible, but I would have liked to have seen just a little space on the left side rather than cutting off the edge.
Will do.
And the title is Cadillac Mirror by David Williams, 19 points.
Okay. Okay, I thought this was a beautiful picture. Really hard to do, but perfectly exposed. The composition was nice. I like it being framed by the columns. I really liked everything about this. The only problem, again, which is nothing wrong. I mean, look at the beautiful starburst effect on the lights. The only thing that threw me a little, and it's no fault of when you take the picture, is the keystoning effect of these here, because you're close and they are just out of whack. But that's something if we take care of, and if we go into if we correct the distortion, if we draw, let's see how this works. If I try to make parallel the two columns, okay, and now I will see if I crop that in a little. So where was it? Let me see if I could do a before and after of this. Here we go. Yeah, so you had that, which is a keystoning effect of the columns, and we've straightened it up a little there as well. So beautiful picture. Then, like I said, just a matter of just straightening the columns there. Okay.
Okay. My comment, a very interesting shot of the arcade downtown. There's good balance in the image with the Christmas tree on the right-hand side, balanced by the flag on the left hand. And I think that's kind of important too when you do a picture, to make sure that there's elements not kind of lopsided to one side, that there's elements on both sides that kind of balance each other off. The leading line of the balconies leads the eye directly through the entire image. So you've got that leading line that your eye wants to follow that all the way down, and that's really helpful. I also like the contrast of the gray of the roof beams with the brown of the balconies. So contrast in an image, to me, is really important. I do find the lean in the pillars to be distracting. This is something that could be fixed with Lightroom or Photoshop. Richard did it with Camera Raw in Photoshop, but you can do the same thing in Lightroom. I also think that there's a bit too much foreground. So that area, I think you could fix that by cropping some of the bottom of the image. But overall, I thought it was a very effective image.
And the title is Christmas at the Arcade by David Lawrence, 21 points.
Okay. On this, there was a very interesting photo. There is a problem. One, it's tightly cropped. That's number one. I wasn't really sure that the depth of field is shallow, so a lot of this is out of focus. Nothing you can do about that. And as I looked at this, my eye was drawn to this area, the pistil and stamen, in here too. And I just, for my own curiosity, wanted to see if we just drilled down on just that portion there as well. If I come up like that, and I just corrected the colors a little, and I gave it a little bit of texture there as well. And now as an abstract, I really just like that. So sometimes you could have a picture within a picture there as well. However, let me get back to our original crop and things too. These are just my suggestions, just off the cuff and whatnot, and things as well. I mean, the picture stands on its own like this, but these are suggestions if you have a picture. And again, this is purely an artistic taste. If you say, no, I like it like this for this reason or the other, that's fine. And everyone else might too. So these are just other ways of doing it. So that's my 2 cents. Okay, who's gonna?
I think that was really interesting idea, actually, Richard. I think the image has a lot of impact that comes from the striking colors and the beauty of the flower, the blue, and especially the yellow and the gold in those parts of the flower. I think the selective focusing right there on the yellow and the gold and the white draws your eye right to that part of the flower, like Richard's crop did in a different way. And I think the white lines on the lower petal also lead the eye right to the spot where the focus is and where the photographer wanted the viewer's eye to go. I thought that the two back petals on the right and the left-hand side of the flower were somewhat distracting, and if the photographer wasn't adverse to using AI, those could actually be removed very easily. And I would, this is an artistic and personal preference here. I see flowers as delicate, and I would move down the contrast somewhat.
Down on the contrast a little.
Yeah.
All right, that does change. Right, from the harsh looking there, that's with the contrast down. Very good.
You might also try cropping so that crop from the top left-hand corner.
From the
Just
top
pull
left,
it toward the center of the flower. No, from the top left.
in other words, keep the
Yeah,
keep the aspect ratio.
pull
the
it.
same.
Yeah, just pull it toward the yeah. Come in some more, all the way. Yeah, a little bit more, so that's at the like that. It's just something different. It just kind of
Yeah.
focuses
Oh,
you
yeah.
in that area where the flower kind of drops off. Just a thought.
Okay, the title of this photo is Electric Iris by William Meekins, 20 points.
This was very interesting. A really nice, nice study. You're in the shadow of the bridge here. This person is kind of silhouetted down here. You have the bridge framing this as well. If I had, yeah, so I think composition wise, I really like this. If I would suggest anything technically, it's that this is always a hard scene because your dynamic range, the difference between bright and dark is just so much that some of the areas are just a little, if we could just bring down the highlights on, and let's see if this works here, on like the water, put a little less. The water and maybe the sides there. Let's see. Bring that up a little more. And it's subtle, but if I do a before and afterwards, you can see it just brings detail back in the water, especially by the boat there. And the other thing is I looked at this is, so I do like this, but the way the lights come in here, it's just, we lose definition. There's these white spots up here, and I don't know, I like the framing, but if we need that much, so I'd experiment with just, let me recrop this. Maybe bring some of that just a little, so you still have the framing aspect of it, but we take away those two lights at the end. So these are just, again, composition wise, excellent. Just a little technical things with bringing down the highlights there. Maybe a little less of the bridge would be my only suggestions.
So Coleman says, I've shot this from this location myself, and it makes for some nice framing. There's some lens flare which may or may not have been planned, but it does not distract from the main subject. The person who I assume is the main subject is backlit, which I think is unfortunate in this image. She appears to be facing the camera, so I'd want to either light her somehow or expose for her in order to see details in at least her face. If meant to be a silhouette, it would just have her face the river. The depth of field is handled nicely.
And the title is End of the Tracks by Kayla Anderson, 20 points.
Okay, and that's how it would be if we bring back the woman there as well. So that's for an amp.
Could you put that in black and white?
Put this in black and white?
Yeah.
Sure.
Convert it to black and white, and then maybe
Black and
say-
white and increase the contrast or increase the blacks a little.
well, I was thinking kick the shadows up on this because I'd love to see some of that texture on the bridge
Okay, so
parts.
we'll open up the shadows
just
a
a little
little.
bit, not that much.
Just a little. Let me bring the. And you could probably work a lot locally
Right.
with this.
Okay, just a thought.
Yeah. See, a lot of different ways you could approach this. And these are all just opinions there. Okay. You want to read the score, Marge? No, for this one?
Yeah, she did already. I commented after.
Okay,
sorry.
I should pay attention. Okay. Okay. On this one, very, very nice. I just liked it. I like the colors. As I look at this, we tend to just accept the format of our camera. And I don't know if this might have been a composition decision, but I really like the flower, but I just find distracting this on the left and this on the right too. And just a simple thing here, I tried just cropping those out. So it just was more on the flower, and that just was pleasing to me there. Just trying to take distracting things out of the photo. A dark vignette on it? Sure. Okay. Right, a vignette is another excellent way to. Excellent. So subtly, you don't want it so that it looks like you did a vignette. You want it to be subtle, but there's, as Marge said, there's your effect before, which is beautiful already, but now your eye is kind of drawn. You're not noticing those distractions in the back. Excellent.
And if you could also lighten up the shadows and maybe decrease.
On the flower itself?
Just for the flower.
Okay, so we'll decrease the shadows on the flower. Let's see if we. All the way. Okay, there aren't that many shadows there. Let me try lightening it a little. And what else did you? Another thing we could try is, okay, bring down the highlights. Okay, let's see what happens if we give it a little texture just in the flower, just to see. No, I kind of like it soft the way it was. That brings out the veins and everything in there, but I like that soft effect. So, yeah, but this really is nice. So these are little things, you recognize a good picture, you take it, and these are just compositional things to really just bring out your vision, because we really haven't touched the flower that this was taken of. Yep. What
Okay.
else are you going to? Any other? No?
Comments?
Okay.
All right. Can you put it back to the original?
Back to the original? Yes. We'll do here. There's the original.
All right. So my comments, a beautiful shot of this orchid. The pink in the orchid contrasts well with the green of the background. Again, to me, one of the things I look for in a picture is a contrast, either in color or in tone. And I think that the pink and the green kind of play off one another, so it gives it some contrast in color. Contrast in either color and or tone always adds some impact to an image. The shallow depth of field makes the subject orchid the focal point of the image and provides a sense of three-dimensionality. I think that could be even more obvious by cropping off some from the right. So I like those little buds in the background.
Okay.
So I would pull it over to the right, take the orchid out of the center of the image and move it to the rule of thirds line. And that way it appears closer to the viewer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it gives it that kind of a three-dimensional look. But I thought it was a very nice job, very beautiful flower.
I agree there, Mike. That's almost like a diagonal going through here.
Exactly,
So,
yeah. But and you see the flower kind of stands out because it appears closer.
Okay,
Yep.
the title is Grace in Bloom by Jeannie Hill, 24 points, honorable mention.
And I hope everyone could see that there are multiple opinions, none right or wrong, but also as we get different opinions, what I thought looked good there, Mike's suggestion, gee, this also looks good. There are many, many ways to come at this.
Let me just add to that.
Yeah.
When you get in a competition and you hear the judges' comments, you realize that's subjective. That's the way they see it. If you like the picture the way it is, great. But again, be willing to try different things and see what works, what you think looks best, and go with that.
And if I could just add, in regard to flower photography, you want to have a star of your show. You don't want to have a lot of supporting players that are going to take your eyes away from your star. So I find, all the buds in the background distracting, but.
Okay. Okay. I thought this was a stunning picture, study in black and white here. I really liked the way it was, compositionally offset. Really, the only thing is I look as well, and this is a very, very minor thing. Let me take a brush here. Is just to make this dome stand out a little more. Just to whiten the whites inside there. Just subtle, but it was such a striking pattern. And again, there is before, and again, just a little makes it jump. There's a little subjective thing, but again, this is a very just beautiful image, and I don't have anything I change really on this.
Can you find the white and black point?
Yes, the white and black. Let me go back to, I'll set this to default, and let's go back to see the absolute white and black point here. We are already at our white point, blowing out some highlights, which is not necessarily bad around the edge there. And black point, nope, we're right up against it too.
Right, okay.
So as the
Just
histogram
curious.
shows, we are pretty much up against it. It was just a matter of I thought it was a little whiter there. It added, but again, that's a minor thing, and that is totally subjective. Okay. Who's got this one? Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not pushing.
I'm here. Okay, the use of black and white really highlights the lines and shapes in this image. Circles, semicircles, arches, diamonds, dots, rectangles, and scallops. Centering the dome might have been an original instinct, but moving it off-center and even eliminating part of it creates greater interest and impact. And if you centered it, that would be the thing that would have been noticed the most. And so I think it was an excellent decision on the part of the photographer in taking the picture and processing not to center the dome. The image has excellent detail, including design on the lower part of the dome's windows that you can see. Whatever is in those little rectangles around the dome, that's a little blown out. That would be my only real suggestion with this picture. I think taking a picture that's directly above your head is really difficult, and I think the photographer did an excellent job with that.
And the title is Heinens by Denise Owesny Richardson, 25 points, third place.
Okay. What's not to like? I thought this was, again, a very, very good capture. They're interacting. One is looking right at you. I am not bothered. They say your eyes are drawn to the lightest part, and this is distracting. But they're silhouetted against it so much that didn't bother me. As I looked at this, though, I just wanted to see two things. One is I wanted to lighten the face a little of that one monkey, since that's the just to bring that out a little bit more. And the other thing is that I was distracted by this. Obviously, they're in a cage or zoo, and you have that wood just going along the bottom. Nothing you could do about that, but I wanted to see if we just crop that out there. And as a result, maybe take it down in there, maybe come in a little. So we get rid of some of those distracting things, puts them on the, and you still have oh, and let's just try a little texture. Here is our texture afterwards. So just compositionally, getting rid of that little thing on the bottom, it's an excellent capture, recognized it, nice composition. So just by a little lightening of the face there and taking out the bottom, I thought those would just improve it a little, but very nice capture.
Colvin said this is a nice image of these two primates. The face is sharp as we would want it to be. The subjects seem to lack a little bit of pop. I think maybe adding a little bit more brightness to them, especially the one on the right, would give the image a little more of that pop that it could use. It's a pleasing and interesting photo, though.
And the title is I'm Here for You. And I so apologize if I mispronounce your name, by Faiza Sotagari. Faiza Sotagari. Okay. And the score was 23 points.
Yeah, this was very interesting. It's kind of like an abstract, and I just found it very interesting. Technically, it's fine. It's a matter of what they were trying to do compositionally. You know, I liked it. And I actually didn't have any suggestions. There was nothing technically or compositionally that I would do differently, since I'm not sure what they were actually going for. So yeah, I have nothing to. Not even 1 cent to add on this.
Okay, well, then I'll give my comments.
Okay.
I am very partial to black and white images, so I did find this close-up, I'm assuming it's of a leaf, that's what it looks like to me, to be very interesting. The diagonals of the large leaf veins draw you in and lead you through the image, as do the smaller white leaf veins. There is an excellent full tonal variation from pure black to pure white. So if you look at the histogram, you can see, there's a lot of light in it, but there's also, it goes all the way to black and nothing's blown out. All right, so that's good. The edges of the leaf portions catch your eye and also lead you through the image. So those little torn edges or edges there, kind of highlighted, and again, you kind of bounce around from one to the other, so it pulls you through the image. You might consider using a spot healing brush in Lightroom or Photoshop to clean up a few white spots, but that's really a bit of a nitpick. So there's a couple of little spots on the leaves that maybe could be cleaned up. But again, that's kind of a nitpick. I thought this was a very well done black and white macro abstract.
And the title is Leaf Veins by Melissa Fargo, 24 points, honorable mention.
I thought this was very interesting. And as you approach this as someone who's going to critique and whatnot too, this is hard because, you know, you're going to jump in and say, oh, look, it's all rotated. But that might have been the intent. And I think that's an interesting effect too. So I'm not, you know, so if this was done on purpose, that's fine. That's a creative vision too. Let me address I think it was exposed nice and whatnot. Let me address the fact that sometimes we get a picture like this and it's by accident and we wanted to straighten it out. The problem straightening it out sometimes is that we're going to lose so much when we rotate this. And here I'll show you. If I straighten out that horizon line there like that, straighten it some more, no, that's as far as the rotate goes. In other words, okay, let's try
Do it with the crop.
the crop tool here, and I'll do the automatic. Okay. Thank you, Dave. You saved me. So if you straighten it, you don't have really enough room. Now, if you wind up in this situation, again, and you say, I would like to correct it, but every time I try to, it cuts that off. What you can do is to, on the picture like this, and this is just a little side trick, is you, before you rotate it, expand it out. Use AI to fill in. And again, with AI, you never know, you never get the same thing twice, so I can't swear on this, but let's see if we expand that. Okay, so we've expanded it out. And now, when I go to the straighten tool, there, and then what you could do is two things. Is one, you see I have the whole tree now. And you might say, well, but you've cut some portions here. You could use your AI or generative thing, because that's just sky there. It'll easily fill those things in fine. You'll never note it. And you could have a perfect picture that is straight. So if you ever run into a case where you're trying to straighten something and it keeps cutting everything off, you could expand the borders before you do it. And now we have the whole tree. And actually with AI, I fill these things in, you'd have your whole picture. But let me emphasize though, let me get back to the original, is that this could very well be the image the way you wanted it to make that effect. So I was just throwing that in as just a side note as well. So
Go back and straighten that as is, because I thought the picture that you ended up with was actually kind of interesting.
So with the tree cut off like that, that's an interesting point as well. So Mike's point is straighten it as is, and you get
to
that
me, that's,
cut, which is
that's
actually
a cool picture. I like
Yes.
that a lot.
There's lots of ways to do this. Again, depends what your vision is, the way you like it. So good point. Okay. Okay, we have a.
Well,
Uh-oh. I gotta get in trouble.
Your mic's not on, Dave.
I don't think there's any question that the photographer's intention was to create it that way.
I agree.
And either do the tilt in the field or do it in processing. And so it's an artistic take on what was photographed there. I think it's an artistic take that's somewhat distracting, though, from all the wonderful elements that photograph has. I mean, I just love those colors. That color of blue in the sky and the yellow in the trees is absolutely gorgeous. And it's sort of repeated again too in the buildings in the background where there's some blue in the windows there and there's some of that golden yellow light in those windows and doorways as well. So I think the photographer did a absolutely wonderful job of getting those colors dead on. It's beautiful. And the photographer also did an incredible job of getting everything in focus. I mean, start counting those lights on that tree. I mean, every single little dot you can see is a separate light. And, I'm looking back in the sky and I'm looking at that halo around the moon, so beautifully captured. I think the photographer did an absolutely beautiful job with this photograph. I would have been proud to have taken it myself. I would have done it straight up, though.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Dave, on the contrast, the colors, the complementary colors of blue and yellow. Anytime you can get complementary colors in your image, it's usually a plus.
And the title is Light It Up by Barbara Good, 23 points.
Interesting. It's just very, very well done. It's an HDR shot. If I had to guess, maybe Scotland, because it looks like a crummy golf course out there, like that. That's supposed to be really good too, but here we complain about that. So no, but to do an HDR like this, where you're in a darkened a room that's not light, and to get the outside well done and it's just exposed well, I really had nothing to add on this at all. I wouldn't change anything.
Coleman said, "This photo definitely has impact for me. The scene is beautiful, and I compliment the photographer for recognizing and capturing it. I like the way the image is framed around the window frame without being shot straight on. That adds interest."
And the title is Look Out Any Look Out Any Window by Stephen Spencer, 24 points, honorable mention.
Yeah, I would
Yes.
just want to add a quick comment. I feel like I'm in that room looking out that window. It's very realistic.
Yes.
So
And is Stephen here? I was going to ask where, because the reason I said golf course, I see a putting or practice green down here with what looks like 3 flags and a green, and that just has the appearance of. So I was just curious.
you just want to golf, Richard.
Huh?
You just want to golf.
No, that's. Oh, very nicely done. Okay, time for some ducks. Okay, this is very well done. I really like this picture. Anytime you can get down at the level of the animal too, or at least more towards the level rather than taking it from up, you get that just nice view. And I love the layers of the lake, everything else about this. The one thing technically that bothered me is this left duck is, I thought, too close to the edge, and maybe there's too much in front of the right. But this was, both of them together, the left one was just up too much. That's a small thing. So what I do, just to get everyone's opinion, is just add a little on the left. No ducks are hurt during this process. Do not worry. And then maybe just crop a little. Now I have room to work. So same thing there, but now it's just not up against the edge. So don't get me wrong. This is a beautiful capture. I really, really like it too. It's just in the technical, the composition aspect, which is really just in post-processing.
I agree with you, Richard. My comments, a very nice shot of these two ducks taking a stroll on an icy pond. Both ducks are tack sharp, they really are, and stand out well against the lighter background. So there's I forget what they call it, but there's a contrast between the subject and the field. I think that's what it's referred to. So they stand out very well. I love the pattern of dark lines, dark and light lines in the background, because they feel like a gradient that's kind of drawing you toward those ducks. You also have allowed some space in front of the ducks, providing them some room to move. I do think, as Richard said, that the duck on the left is a bit too close to the left edge. But overall, I thought it was a very nice image. But I would agree with your adding some space on the left and maybe trimming just a little bit off the right.
And the title is March Through Ice by, is it Faza
By
Sotogari? 25 points, third place.
And this was I thought, an interesting shot, probably at a car show. It looks like a part of the car. It's an abstract. It's always hard. This was a little close crop, but then again, on these things, you can't really, on either side, there's probably a lot going on here and can't. So I thought it was a very interesting image. I had really nothing to add technically, or compositionally, about this. Okay. Who's got that one? Okay.
Okay, Richard, I think you're leaving it up to me.
Yeah.
I think the striking colors in this combination gives impact to the image. Also, I really like the selective focus that puts the reflections in sharp detail. I have a couple suggestions, though. I think the brownish background's a little distracting. And probably, again, if the photographer isn't against using some AI tools, that probably could be somewhat eliminated. Also, for me, I actually wanted to see more of the car, just to give the light. I think it's a light. A little more context, and I could understand it a little better.
And the title is Mirror Image by David Williams, 23 points.
Following in that same vein, I really like this. Is a very, very nice image, technically well done, compositionally well done. The spectrum, light to dark, everything was good. I really wouldn't change anything on this. I don't have anything to add. I liked it.
Coleman said, "This is an interesting study in shapes, angles, light, and shadows. It is well done. It might have looked better at a little less of an acute angle, but maybe not. I hope the photographer tried different angles in order to compare. The area just to the right of the bars in the dark shadows is slightly distracting. If the photographer is able, I would try to darken that area so match the black next to it so as to eliminate that distraction."
Done. So that was his point there, and that's easy enough to do.
I'm curious, if you brought up the shadows, would we see any detail in that black area?
Let me see.
That may make they may cause
go back to
problems
the
with
full-
with the image. I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
it's always hard on these low-res images. Okay, we'll bring up the shadows.
Yeah, just to see if there's
Yeah,
anything.
there's actually more. Those shadows are coming out.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that helps, but
Yeah.
okay, just curious, that's all.
And the title is Prison Cell by David Lawrence, 22 points.
Okay. This is tough. With sunsets, it's hard. The sun is so, imagine trying to take a picture of the sun when it's in the middle of the sky. It's just too bright. Sunset is the time to get it because it becomes then darker. But just if you take it too early, like another 45 seconds, and this might have gone down enough to where it was an orange ball or whatnot, orange glow. But right now, it is so bright that we just see the brightness there, and it's hard to really tone that down. The other thing, and when I tried bring highlights down, it helps a little. And you could see in the sky too, but I think the sun was just a little bit too high there, unless that was the image you were going for. Another little tiny thing and again, this is just a preference thing, is this sailboat on the right. Having a sailboat in it is fine, and no problem, but it's so off to the right here that it just takes away from the symmetry of the whole picture. If it had been like towards the middle or whatnot too, but just having it off on the edge just was a little distracting. So other than that, yep. Yep. Dehazing it? Sure, let's try a little bit dehaze. That also helps a lot. Marge had us do dehaze, but I think the key thing is that the sun is just too bright to be, no matter what we do, we can't see the sun. Whereas a minute later, we probably would be able to see the whole thing. But yeah, that dehaze really brought out the colors. There's our before and afterwards. Okay.
Okay. My comments, beautiful colors in the clouds and great action in the rough waters make this an interesting image. You definitely capture the intensity of the sun as it is going down. That's a plus and a negative because it is so bright that it draws the eye away from the clouds and the waves. Also, the horizon line is slightly slanted and needs to be corrected in post-processing. Here's a suggestion. To me, the most interesting part of the image is the left side, okay? So what I would say is try straightening the horizon line, cropping off the bottom of the image to remove the sun reflection, and then crop off the right side of the image just to the right of the sun, brighten the shadows.
I wasn't listening. Okay, so.
Okay.
Wait,
So-
I straightened the horizon.
Straighten the horizon. Now come up from the bottom and take out that reflection. So just go up right about.
Let me
yeah.
just free crop here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And not that high. Just hide the reflection altogether, but don't go any higher. There, right there. Stop.
Okay.
And then pull the right-hand side in. Keep going. Almost to. A little more, keep going, right about there maybe, okay? To me, the most interesting part of the image was the sky and the waves, and I think this brings it out. Now, if you try the dehaze a little, well, that's too much. I think that looks artificial. Come back a little bit more, right, maybe around there, and you can maybe try lowering the highlights. But you're right, the sun is so bright that it really does takes your eye right to the sun, and that's not good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the title is Sailing at Sunset by Kayla Anderson, 21 points.
Wow. Okay. Sometimes you get an image that I've got a job to do up here, but you make it difficult. I really looked at this picture, composition, technical, all those things as well. I'm sure there are minor points, but I just loved it as is, and I actually have no suggestions. I just think it's a beautiful photograph.
There you go again, Richard, leaving it all up to me. This is a striking image of a waterfall in the fall. The use of a slow shutter speed gives the water a beautiful, milky flow. Increasing the saturation and contrast is a natural instinct. Try reducing them both a little. See if you like the change. Climbing down to the level of the water gives you an excellent view, which includes the flow of the water in the lower left-hand corner of the image. Well done.
Yeah, can I just add
Yeah.
another comment too? I think in landscape pictures, it's kind of important to have some foreground elements, some midground, and some background, and this has them all. So getting down, and if you just focused on if you were to crop out the bottom, which I don't recommend, and just focused on the waterfalls, you'd miss those rocks. And I think it's kind of important to have all three in an image like this. And it's a very nice image.
Richard,
yeah.
did you try pulling down the
Yes, here's pulling down that you tell me. I'm going to pull the saturation down, you said?
pull saturation down
Okay. Saturation is down. There's
and
before
pull
and
down the
afterwards.
contrast?
Okay, and here is the contrast
There you go.
down a little. And here's our before and after on that. Okay.
Okay, the title is Soft Motion by Melissa Fargo, 25 points, third place.
Okay, now the flower. Again, very nicely done. I was looking from a technical point of view. Again, exposure, everything is fine. What I tried is I just wanted to see what happened if I brought down the highlights so they weren't as striking. And you see when I do that, it brings out more detail in the flower. Those white areas did have texture and whatnot. Let me just try increasing the exposure just a tiny bit there. And then I just fooled around giving it a little bit of texture for So here it is. And you could do it to taste. You might like the soft look. There you could see all on the piston or stamen. It's one of those two. The pollen there, you could see every little grain that way as well. So this would be just a before and afterwards, just things you could do, again, according to what you want. The texture thing is a matter of taste, but I do think that bringing the highlights down, again, and the camera, again, the exposure is right, but the camera, again, can't just give everything, so.
Colvin says, this is a beautiful close-up image of this flower. The colors, sharpness, and exposure are right on. Darkening the corners might help eliminate some distracting elements, in particular the top left corner. If possible, other editing techniques could also be used to accomplish that improvement. I'd also like to see the very tip of that lower flower petal. If it was captured, I would add it to the crop. If not captured and the maker knows how, that petal tip can probably be easily added convincingly with newer software tools.
Oh, Coleman here. Okay, let's see how. Yeah, I know it. He's just making my computer work. There we go. And right. So in a place where you do cut off, unintentionally just cut off that little bit and whatnot, and it comes off more often than you think. A horse's tail gets a little cut off, something like that. This does a great job. And again, compositionally, it just brings that all back.
Okay, this is Summer Lily Beauty by Barbara Good, 22 points.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. A buzzard. Nice capture. It's sharp. It's ugly. It's everything you want out of a buzzard. I am sorry. Okay, we'll cut that from the recording. The one thing on this again, and this is my plea for post-processing, is that this is a very nice capture. I like the buzzard or the vulture against the blue water. I like the fact that it's just on this one rock is an outcropping, and I like that there. It's really nice, but there's too much distracting stuff in here, and he's just too small in the picture. And this is where cropping becomes an intentional thing. Those that tell you should get it right in the camera, that's a bunch of BS. Cropping is an artistic decision. You recognized a good picture. You did the heavy lifting. You did it. You got the exposure right. Everything is good here. Now in post-processing, this is the fine tuning. And so what I would do is just bring that over. You could just decide any way you want. You could put it rule of thirds off a little. I don't want to cut off that bush though. But again, just bringing down that crop now, you could see makes the bird, he's a little off center now and a little more prominent in the picture. And we've gotten rid of things that don't add anything to the photograph as well. So that's my opening the shadows on the bird. Okay. Let me. Again, don't worry, this does not hurt the bird. Cover them up there. Opening the shadows up now a little. Very nice. Yes, you could see the feathers. Again, very, very nice. Again, so yeah, you see, we would do this, let me do that before and afterwards there.
That's all
There. Oh, no, these are, but again, this is why one of the things I hope you learn is we disagree on things, we agree on things, and a lot of these are just opinion too. But the more opinions you get sometimes, the better, because these are really good suggestions, because there, again, the bird looks perfectly exposed, but there's more there in the feathers and whatnot as well. So very nice. Good suggestion.
All right, my comments on this, the shallow depth of field in the image draws your attention to the buzzard on the rocks, avoiding distractions from the plants in front and the water in back. The buzzard is sharp and he stands out well against the blue background, but because he is so dark, some detail is lost in the feathers. That might be fixable, we saw it is fixable in post-processing by lightening the shadows and increasing texture. The buzzard is dead center, so I'd suggest cropping some from the right-hand side to move him closer to the rule of thirds line. And again, please remove the watermark for competition. All in all, I thought it was a very nice shot, though. But he is dead center, so I would, crop from the rule. You did crop from the right.
Yeah, I cropped from the right to put him in the rule of thirds
Okay.
there as well. And you're right, artistically, it's just.
One comment with bee competitions, that seems to be a very common thing, is cropping. Cropping is really important to make your picture compositionally better. Okay.
And the title is Surprise Guest at the Beach by Lana A. 20 points.
Okay, I found this an interesting picture. There are several things, again, my plea for post-processing, because you guys, you're recognizing good pictures, again, but just little things. The one thing that keeps jumping out at me here is the top of the bird cage is just cut off, that little bit there, that's just enough. And the other thing is, it's just not level. Now, I know if I straighten that, the house in the back, the mansion here is level, but our eyes tend to look at this. At least, that's all right. So let's try to two things. One is, let's see if we could just quickly get more on top here. because that'll allow us to rotate without losing anything. Okay, and now let me rotate. Just a little there. Let me bring in the crop. See, now we could now we still have room to keep that top there. So it's just not as, I could have rotated a little more, but you get the idea. In fact, let me just, there. There, and that's a little more pleasing, and little tiny things. Now, yes, the house in the back is a little leaning, but I think our eyes are going right to this is the main object, the birdhouse. And the other thing is this is just a little sunlight peeking through the trees on the left. You kind of don't notice it when it's up around here, but on the side against all this dark area, our eyes just kind of go right to that. And that's easy enough to fix with just a punch there. So overall, you're recognizing, again, good pictures, and it's a matter of just this little tune-up or something in the end to get it compositionally a little bit better. Okay, that's my,
Okay, Richard,
oops. So
you and I are going to completely disagree on this one.
that's fine.
My house would be straight. And Lord knows, if I put that birdhouse in my yard, it would be crooked. So, so I think the maker, the photographer got that part right. That's just my take on that. The troll house is really cute, and it seems to be in a garden of a beautiful home, maybe even a plantation. My question is, does the photographer want the troll house to be an even more prominent subject in the image? And that would seem to be the case. It seems to be the definite subject since we use selective focus and got the troll house sharply in focus with the rest of the image out of focus. So one thing I would definitely do is brighten up the troll house to make it a brighter part of the image, and possibly even bring down the rest of the surroundings, the house and the garden.
So you
Just-
would brighten up the troll house.
Oh yeah, just
A little bit here. Let me see how this,
and I would add even more.
even more, okay.
Well, and then more definition on
There. Oh, that's actually looks good.
on the birdhouse, a little more
Let
definition.
me put some texture on the birdhouse.
Yeah,
Okay, that's some more texture on the birdhouse and trolls. And you want to try to bring down the, just darken the background or vignette that a little?
if you can do that.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
know, because that house
He
is
can do
really,
anything.
Yeah.
really white.
But if you just bring it just subtly down, let's see. Yeah, you can decrease the high. Let me try just this subtle.
For the
There,
photographer, I would just,
there, see
I
that
think
brings it, and then-
the birdhouse, the troll house is definitely what you seem to be, seem to make the subject of the picture. So I would just try to do that then.
So here is
and-
with your, yeah.
Yeah,
actually,
well,
that's-
Richard, I, like in the last picture a couple years ago, you want to give a little room at the top there so
Yeah,
the peak isn't quite cut off.
I agree with you, and I missed that entirely. But look at the difference between, with Dave's suggestions, the house in the back, which is not the main subject, is brighter. Oops. Oh, oops. the house in the back was brighter than the main subject. So by just switching that, making the house in the back a little darker and that lighter, that kind of brings it out to that. I can't show before, let's see. Yeah, there it is. So there it is before and after. That's excellent idea. I agree with you. That's a whole different there. And now your eyes are going to the house in the back, which, as Dave pointed out, is probably not the main subject, to now that way. Excellent.
I think this picture points out how shallow depth of field, though, can give you that sense of depth. I mean, you honestly feel like the bird or the troll house is right in front of you, and the house is way in the back somewhere. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, and Dave's point too about, I kind of looked at it clinically and said straighten the birdhouse, it's the main thing. But as Dave pointed out, as I look at this more, this almost looks like a normal backyard. You could expect it to be a little leading. So, take all of this as a, not the grain of salt, but what your vision is and whatnot as well. So I agree. Very nice.
And the title is Trolls at Home by Reed Vale, 21 points.
Right. Oh, let's. Okay. Oh, no. We'll get through this. This was
We'll have to.
our computer is. No, our computer is in hospice. We are getting a new one, but so let me just bring up Bridge again here. We are, okay, and this,
AI has brought our computer to its knees.
that is right. Okay, we're back in business. I really like this picture. I looked at it a long time. I looked at the histogram too. Now the histogram shows mostly dark, but the picture is mostly dark. I really like the effect, but one thing I thought to really just highlight those a bit more is I increased the blacks. And I think that's where you still see everything in the background, but I think the intent was to, so there it is before, kind of, and all we did is increase the contrast, and I think that really jumps out at you there as well. So that's just a technical post-processing issue.
I disagree.
You disagree? Okay.
I do too.
Explain. Okay, go ahead. Okay, that is, let me take this off. No, go ahead, expand on it. I'm done.
I will say that I
Yes.
think this was my favorite picture of all the ones I looked at. I just love the way it was done. The lighting on the main piece is spot on. There's a story there, the victory. And I think if you darken the blacks, you lose the depth. Okay, I think leave it as is.
Coleman said, "This photo is really well done. The lighting is very nice, highlighting the main subjects while the corner vignetting keeps the viewer focused on the subjects. The chess pieces outside of the depth of field add context without being distracting, and even the crop is nice with the subjects being somewhat off-center."
Thank you. Coleman agrees with
Well, there you have
Three
it.
against
That
one,
shows
Richard.
you too. That's okay.
Okay, the title is Victory on the Battlefield by Denise Owesney Richardson. Is Denise here this evening?
Yes, right there.
Oh, well, I've got good news for you and I've got bad news. The bad news is you can no longer compete in B because you got a perfect score. Come on up and get your ribbon. That doesn't happen a whole lot in B. Congratulations.
Nice job, Denise.
So that was a perfect score of 27.
It shows you how much I know.
You didn't get a perfect score, Richard.
Exactly. There you go. Congratulations. This one is very nice. It's an abstract, and on an abstract, it's very hard to comment because it is this, nothing compositionally or technically. I think it was very well done technically. So I really have nothing to add on this. Very nice image.
Okay, my comments, a very interesting effect, presumably done in post-processing. The eye follows the oranges all around the image. Contrasting colors, again, blue and orange are complementary colors, so that adds some impact. Having the images fade out while leaving the central image intact is also very effective. And I do think that this image works very well with a square crop. That puts the center bowl with the oranges right in the center of the square, and a square crop I think is fine. There's some symmetry there. Thought it was very nicely done. I'm curious as to how it was done. So
The title is Vitamin C by Jeannie Hill, 26 points, second place.
Okay. Some kind of large animal. It's very, very interesting picture. And I'm curious, here we get compositionally again, and this could have been intentional, but I'm not sure why the center of attention here is the ear. I think this was done intentionally, but I just don't know. There are several things that I think on this. Anytime you have a grizzled old animal like this too, I try giving the texture a little effect to bring out those wrinkles, and so that would be, it's a little more grizzled then. And also, I was looking at the eye and mouth, and I think again, because the eye is in a socket in a sense, that will always just bring the shadows, make it in shadows. So let's see what happens if we just try to, now look at the eye now. There. So there was definition there, but the eye is in shadow. And again, it's compositionally and artistically how you want. You might like that look, but here it's still dark, but it brings out a little as well. So I thought those two things just added to the texture and added technically to it. But again, this is a matter of your taste in terms of what you want to make the center. I also thought, what if you just brought this over and made it more of the, you could do that, but obviously this was intentional this way. So interesting picture. So other than giving it grit and opening up the eyes and mouth a little, nothing else.
Okay, Richard, we're going to agree and disagree on this one. I think the smallest details of the elephant's skin are beautifully rendered in this striking black and white image. I think the texture was already there, Richard. I didn't need to increase that at all.
I have it back to normal now.
And I think realistically, when we look at an elephant, its eye is back in that socket, and we see black. So I wouldn't have changed that either. My only suggestion was on the part that I actually agree with you on. The ear takes up half or even more than half of the entire image, and I think where you were looking, Richard, on the head of the elephant, and is really the wrinkles that we want to see more so than the ear was brighter and it had less texture to it, not these striking wrinkles. I think I would have cropped it in similar to how you just did. I thought it was the image was incredibly well done. The only thing I would have done was emphasize more of the head part there and less of the ear.
I'm going to kind of agree and disagree with both of you. I do agree with what you did with the eye, Richard. I think that that helps. Okay, the eye and the mouth, just adding some detail in there. I do see cropping off at least some of the ear if you wanted to go that route. But then if you're really concentrating on the a little bit more, maybe right around there. If they go in any closer than that, I think you'd need to include the trunk, some of the trunk, because that gets cut off. But
Yeah, I
again,
would agree with that. It would be ideal if more of the trunk could be included in the image.
If you decrease some of the shadow in the eye, can you bring out a highlight in the eye?
You did.
Oh, you did already, okay.
And he disagrees.
Okay.
I disagree with Dave, so.
All right, this is Wrinkle of Time by William Meekins, 25 points, third place.
I thought this was a striking image. It tells a story. The hieroglyphics you have here, and the hieroglyphic is of the bird. So an ancient hieroglyphic, thousands of years old, and the bird almost in the same posture right above. I think that is great. I think it's technically done well. I was just fooling around with the crop just to see if there was anything. Try taking some of the sky off, and this was just my thing, since the image was just emphasized a little more, but that's purely just a nitpicking. Overall, I think it's a very, very nice picture.
Colvin said, "This is an interesting capture of this bird, almost mimicking the two birds carved into the architecture. I'm glad the makers saw this and got the photo. The exposure and sharpness look good, and the photo is well balanced composition-wise. It's also nice when we come upon complementary colors. The blue and the orange complement one another and help make the image pleasing to the viewer."
And the title is Ancient Cousins by Faza Sotogari, 22 points.
Okay, another interesting flower. It's kind of close crop, but I think that was intentionally done. There's probably some type of background to it because I don't see anything else there. Marge could speak better to that. The only thing I played around with that I got in trouble with the elephant is with the texture. is I just wanted to see just what adding, giving it a little more texture. It looked a little soft, and so with a little texture, let's see. That's just kind of brings that out. But that was my only. Take out the bright spot in the left.
There.
Oh, you mean in that area? Let's see what happens if we just try to remove some of that, what it'll replace it with. Okay, it's not as bright. Here it was. Yeah, so it's not as bright there as well. Very good.
My comments, a nice macro shot of this purple flower. The tough part of a shot like this is getting most of the flower in focus because a macro or close-up lens has such a shallow depth of field. The center of this flower is in focus, but much of the surface area of the petals is not. Also, there are several spots on the petals that could be cleaned up in post-processing. As a suggestion, try reshooting just a portion of the center part of the flower and a portion of the petals that are in focus to get an even closer macro shot, or try cropping this picture to get the same result. So I was saying just kind of focus in on the center and maybe some of the petals that would be in focus.
The ones.
Now come back
Come back on this
back a
one.
little bit, because those petals there are in
Okay,
focus.
are in focus.
Now come up from the bottom.
Okay.
Something like that. And just really zero in on that. I don't know, just something different, that's all.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment, I love black backgrounds on flowers, but I had judges tell me your flower shouldn't look like it's floating in space. It needs to be attached to something. So try to include a stem or a petal or some greenery that shows that it belongs to something and isn't just floating. Okay, this is Anemone After Rain by William Meekins, 22 points.
Okay. So it, again, a very nice capture. The only thing I did on this is just increase the contrast a little, just to bring out the colors a little more. And you could see that. But again, you might try that just on the butterfly alone, because originally, like this, I like the dark around the outside. So let me just try just doing the colors. Let's see if this would, we're doing this on the fly here. Let me see if I could mask just the butterfly. Okay, and let me see now if I could increase the, okay. So what I've done is there, just kind of make the colors pop a little more on the butterfly, but I like that vignette effect around the outside. So this is just, yeah, I think it's a beautiful capture. I think it's really well done with that vignetting around or with it dark. And that's just a little technical thing there. Very nice.
I like how those colors pop out of that darkness all around it. It seems to be even backlit, and I think it's really striking in the way that was done. Richard, I do like what you did, brightening those colors up even a little more. The only real suggestion I have, can we see the head and the eye of the butterfly?
Could we?
Can we?
Can we? Is it?
Not really.
I don't think so.
See,
Yeah.
I think if you're going to want this image in competition, the judges are going to be looking especially for the eye of the butterfly in an insect or bird or an animal. We want to see the eye sharply in focus. And with the butterfly, having the proboscis as what's also visible in the image, I think is ideal if you can get that. Other than that, I just love how those colors pop in that dark background.
And the title is Beautiful Butterfly by Lana A., 20 points.
Okay. Yes. very, very nicely, nicely done. Usually the standard thing is just to light a dog or something just the usual way. Here you have this light coming from the side. I could see detail on the right side. Dog is just centered. The eyes are kind of not centered. They're in the upper part. It's cropped well. I really like this picture. I honestly didn't have anything to add. I thought it was very nicely done.
Coleman said, "This is a very nice portrait of this dog. The side lighting works to illuminate one side and have the dark side blend in with the black background. Yet there is enough light to see the dog's eye on the dark side. Catch lights in both eyes really add to the image, drawing the viewer right into the eyes. Sharpness and focus look good too."
And this is Birdie by Denise Owesney Richardson, 24 points, honorable mention.
Interesting picture. A very common problem. This is probably at Stone Garden Farm, I would guess. There's just a lot of things here. It's very interesting. And sometimes you don't get a chance, like if you're at a studio, you could place things like still life just where you want it. The thing here is it's busy. It's very busy, and your eye just kind of goes all over. But there are interesting things here. The first thing I do, as you probably know by now, whenever there's things like this, I try to add a little texture to it. So you can see that just kind of gives the grit on the oil cans and whatnot. But then, as I look at this, if I had taken this, that's why I look at my pictures sometimes as raw material, there's really nice subject matter here. These oil cans to the left, these cans here, but there are some things distracting. This right down here on the right adds nothing, and it takes our eyes right over. And I tried experimenting with and again, you never know what you're going to get, of just taking that out and see. There. Now our eyes come in a little. Now this little thing's sticking out from the upper left. In fact, I'll take out the whole thing too. There. And this little part of an oil can that's going off to the top and just distracting our eyes. And finally, let me just take out that window there. And see, what we've got now is just our eyes are focused. We have just these oil cans right around here. It's just a really nice look. We don't have all those distracting things coming up through the middle, coming out of the left, down here on the right as well. Here it is a before and afterwards. So I just think it helps compositionally. And I'm just pointing this out as again, you're the maker of the photograph. But again, not to be disappointed when you come back, gee, I was trying to make, I wish those things weren't there, because you can keep your vision and get those other things out to really just center the eye. So that's my 2 cents. Very nicely done.
I thought your 2 cents was well worth it, Richard. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you did. I didn't see any of those things. To me, this was a terrific close-up from one of the buildings in Stone Garden Farms. I thought the lighting was really good, showing both light and shadow, making the cans look three-dimensional. The oil cans are in sharp focus and showing off their texture, but adding a little texture. I think your middle initial is T, so it must stand for texture, Richard T. Ader. You might want to darken the blue cloth in the background a little bit. My eye kept being drawn to that. So I don't know if you can just
Let me
with a
try.
brush go in there and,
Let me try a little brush
and just darken
just
that
to
blue.
darken that
yeah.
down a little. Just enough so it's not as prominent.
Exactly.
Let's see. So
kinda-
that's, so it's still there. I agree.
Yeah, I
That
think
just-
that looks
So
better.
you still have the cloth, but
But
now,
I do like the changes that you suggested. I missed that little wooden thing in the corner. Thought taking that out was really helpful, and some of the other changes. I had done a picture like this at Stone Garden Farms. It was one of my favorite pictures. And I tried, next time we went to Stone Garden Farms, I tried to find where those were at, and I couldn't find them. So I wanted to duplicate it, but this one was one of my favorite pictures. Competition.
Can you crop up a little bit from the bottom to take that red on the lower left-hand side out?
yes.
I just want to see what it looks like.
The other thing I
without that.
tried with that, another trick if you have, if cropping it out doesn't help, is, here, let me try this first and then I'll crop it.
Just remove it.
What you could do is you could remove it. That's true. I'll do a quick remove also. But another thing, if you have something very, very difficult that doesn't lend itself to removing, is let me take a brush and go down
Desaturated.
and desaturate. So now it's the red that's disturbing us. But if now that it's gray, you could do that to either or none or whatnot too. Now it doesn't. So your options are, yes, that. Also, as they said, you could just try removing it. There. So you have quite a few things in your armamentarium with post-processing to do, but it's all to get it back to the way you want it to look. Again, I think this is a stunning picture. It was just a matter of simplifying it up a little.
Okay, this is Lineup by Reed Vale, 23 points.
Okay. The only thing that I saw on this is that just attract my, and I go two ways on this. I'm a little gun shy now. Is I would have said, and you gotta,
Texture.
and you, no, and actually it shows how you evolve. Is the first thing someone might say looking at this is straighten it up. These columns are kind of leaning. But then again, as you look at it, this is almost the effect of it's like almost an abstract and things are going different ways. And even though I originally thought and did straighten this, as I look at this now, I actually like this effect here. So I'm interested to hear what the others think. So I would not straighten it. Who had this one?
That's it? You're leaving it all up to me again?
Look, if it was your bird, if this was in your backyard, I know it would be leaning. Like you said, with the birdhouse. I'm leaving
I
it up to
didn't
you.
even notice it leaning at all.
I don't
So-
notice it either.
What? On the left? Okay. Well, the way to tell. We
It's
won't
your
do-
eyes, Richard.
Wait a second. No. I'm not leaving this to my eyes because I'm going to put a line through it that makes things parallel, so it will tell us. So if I put a line down this
Are
side,
you letting Photoshop tell us what our eyes were seeing or not?
there's one. I'm going to put this here. Okay, there. So that would be,
That looks crooked now.
okay, let me go. Enough said though, but I like it like this.
See, everybody, it's subjective. Okay, this is my image. And here are my comments. Pipes galore. Pipes out in the open and pipes hidden behind the rounded protrusion. I had to look twice before I noticed those. This image is rendered beautifully in black and white. The craftsmanship of the organ is highlighted by the use of selective focus, which shows in the sharpest points and places the craftsmanship right in the center of the frame. The image is a wonderful example of use of lines and angles. The only suggestion that I had was the three little ticks on the left-hand side of the image are a bit distracting.
Which of those? What are they?
Pay attention, Richard.
I am. I just don't know what those are.
The three little ticks on the left side of the image,
Like a tick, like a flea? Or what is it?
the little points on the left side, far left side, little points.
These things?
No, far, yes,
That thing?
no.
No. Right.
Evidently, it's not distracting to you at all because you
Oh,
don't
this
even
thing?
see it. Yeah, that's one of them. The other one down lower is a little bigger.
But the things rotate.
That one, and then the one down at the bottom is teeny weeny.
This one down here?
That one right there.
Okay. Okay, let's get rid of the top two. There.
That was my only suggestion for the maker of this beautifully rendered black and white photograph.
Okay. We're going to read the.
And the title is Organ Pipes by David Lawrence. 24 points, honorable mention.
I found this an interesting kind of like abstract there. It's either a reflection at a car show, a reflection in the mirror. I think very, very well done. What I experimented with, though, is it just looked a little bit flat, and the colors really pop out. So I just kind of brought my blacks down, and I increased my my vibrance there, just to, since it is kind of an abstract, not a natural one, too. So this is here's our before. Yeah, so I think very nice, and then that just kind of makes it pops. It's got so many bright and brilliant colors in it. So I really like it. That was
No texture?
what? No texture on this one. I tried it though.
Coleman said, "This image appears to be a close-up or macro shot of a reflection in a reflective surface. The results are an abstract look of antique-looking objects deformed by the curved surface. The image draws the viewer in, trying to identify what some of the objects are, making the photo interesting. If possible, the maker might try to get rid of the white distractions in the bottom left corner and then also darken that corner to pull the viewer more into the subject."
And there's also writing on which is the name of the car, but since it's not all included, you could take that off. And what Coleman was saying was he would darken that corner a little. So let's see. Just kind of bring it down. Yeah, just makes it a little more symmetric. Here's that, and making the colors pop a little. That's our before and after. The reflection up here, is that the one you're, let's see what it would do with that. Again, it's not magic. AI sometimes gives you goofy results, but let's see. Oh, goofy, yeah, and there are other ways to work on that. There you go. Got it down. That's that's for the before. Excellent. There it is afterwards. So overall, these are little tricks. It's a great concept for a picture, and then just the vision was there, and these are just the little technical things that just round it off.
And the title is Reflecting at Museum by David. Oops.
Wait, what?
Let the judge read the
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Who's the judge?
Chris.
Oh, okay.
All right. The title is Reflecting at Museum by David Williams, 23 points.
This reminds me of the jail picture. I thought this was very, very well done. In the darks here, I could still see detail, the columns in the shadows, so it's not completely black. You know, this is a very hard picture to do, to expose right because of the huge dynamic range here. I like composition, the angle of the bathtub here. You know, if I was going to nitpick again, this is such a beautiful picture, is there's just a little bit of this bathtub cut off. Let me just see out of curiosity. Again, if I could just, anytime there's a tiny bit, unlock that. Well, let's just see if it'll put the edge of the bathtub on. You get 3 choices. Let's see, that's 1, 2, they're all basically the same. Yeah, but I really like this. I think it was a well done picture. I'm not even, it's not, I thought it was black and white initially, but I don't think so.
It's not.
I see a little color there. But again, I just like the picture.
All right, my comments. There are questions that this image brings to mind, which is always good in an image. If you know, you look at it and you have questions about it. What's the story with this? You know, where is this tub? Why is it there? Where's the light coming from? The diagonal line of light is very effective in drawing you into this image. The shadows of the bars wrapping around the tub make it appear three-dimensional. I'm curious about the darkness on the right side of the image and wonder if lighting the shadows to show some detail there would improve or hurt the image. I don't know if it would make them better. You could see what was over there.
Oh, interesting.
I'd like to see a bit of space between the left edge of the tub and the edge of the frame, which you took care of already. I also wonder what the image would look like in black and white, removing the little bit of color that is currently there.
Well, there, Mike, is I opened the shadows a little, so there was stuff in the shadows there.
And does it make the image better, or?
I don't know. I think it's a matter of taste, maybe a little.
I really can't see a whole lot. So
Yeah, let me try the black and white. Yeah, the black and white gets rid of the
just
color.
gets rid of a little touch of color
Yeah.
on the wall. But like I said, overall, I thought it was a very interesting image and kind of thought-provoking.
Yeah.
What in the world is a bathtub doing there?
Yeah,
I assume this was probably from Mansfield.
yeah, that's what I would assume. This is okay. Marge?
Okay, the title is Showered in Light by Kayla Anderson, 23 points.
That. Okay, another, not an elephant. And on this one, I'd like this. The only thing that I would do, and this is just my personal taste, just compositionally, is there was just a little too much space in the upper right here. He makes a nice, or she makes a nice diagonal, and I just experimented with bringing down the top a little so it was just a little more there. He was more centered on the screen there. But other than that, I thought it was technically well done. I think adding some blacks here, just a tiny bit.
And some texture.
And so, oh, of course, it's a penguin. They're all textured. Let's see. Oh my gosh, yes. There we go. That's the other. I'll get the texture off. So no, I think it very, very, very nicely done. And again, the crop just kind of centers it. It's not that you took it so it's close cropped and just to think of a penguin, but there it is. That's our before, Oh, that's our after, that's our before. So that was just a minor point. Okay.
Penguin's rendered in excellent detail. Its glossy sheen suggests that it may have just come out of the water, and it might be under some nighttime lighting. The darkness of the background helps the white of the penguin really pop. You might consider cropping down and even eliminating some of those white streaks in the background.
So you would crop down there and then try to,
I didn't crop over as much as you did
okay,
from
I
the
didn't,
right.
yeah, I didn't just now. I left it like you said it. And I'll take these out. Very nice. Okay.
Okay, the title of this is Sir Flaps a Lot by Jeannie Hill, 23 points.
Okay. This is a difficult one. Again, anytime you point the camera up, you get that keystoning effect. Also, there's a little rotation here too. If that's intentional, fine, but you have that. Very nice effect of the snow. The snow just gives the out of focus snowflakes, just these big balls. So I just experimented with, let me try to correct the geometry here and see. Now, when you correct this, you're gonna have to correct so much, you're gonna lose some on the side. But then again, I thought the interesting part is kind of in the center here. So let's see what happens if we correct. First, let me rotate a little to rotate that. Let me change my vertical perspective. And again, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly. Let me rotate it back a little. And now let me crop in a little more. And I was just experimenting with seeing if I correct that, come all the way up maybe, just to really center on, I still have the snowflakes, I'm centering on this. So again, depends what your vision is, but with all the distortion there as well, one of the things you could do is bring it down to just the door like that. In fact, you could even crop it more like that. But again, this is just depends on the maker's intent here as well. Yeah. So this is the original right here. So if you crop it which way now? Vertically, like this? You mean bring it in like this? Or not as much?
I think you're losing too much of the picture. In the way you cropped it too, Richard, I
Yes,
thought you
that
lost
is-
way too much.
The problem is yeah, in correcting this, we are going to, okay, let me see how much I could just correct it on the fly here. And that and rotate.
Don't do a manual transformation. Let the system do it.
Let the system do it?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just curious as to what it'll do.
Okay. Okay, here's the automatic. There as well. It's doing only so much. If I put a guide down the,
That's going to crop it way too much.
yeah, see, sometimes when you correct that,
Yeah, and that doesn't
well, it
work.
does, yeah. So sometimes you're just in a bind. Some things, oh, this is, oops. Let me get back to our default. Okay, here's our original. We're back to the original again. Yeah, sometimes again in correcting, you're right, you deform it and such, and it could be a long work to get everything just correct, and then you lose part of the picture. So it can be difficult. So that's right. Have anything to add?
Coleman said, "This is an interesting architectural image shot through the snow, adding interest to the photo. The exposure is well done, perhaps with some added lighting also illuminating the snowflakes. I'm usually not a big fan of tilted images, but I think it works, adding even more interest to this photo."
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, compared to the cropped ones, I think this looks better.
Okay.
Okay, the title is Snow Globe by Barbara Good, 23 points.
Wow, this really jumps out at you. I really like this picture. Well done. The eyes are tack sharp. I'm interested to hear what the judges would say. I am not going to give this picture any texture. It certainly doesn't need it. I mean, everything is just, the fur just jumps out at you. The only thing I would do, and I'm curious of others' opinions on this, is the face is so striking. The left here, does not add anything to me. And I thought it was more striking if I cropped that out and had just the head rather than the rest. But I'm curious as to what others, whoops. Let me, oh. So I'm curious. So who has this one?
I do.
Okay.
I think you read my notes, so.
No, I have not.
All right, great image, and I hope you were using a telephoto lens and still have all your body parts intact. You captured a very intense look on this leopard's face. The face and the eyes are tack sharp, and the detail in the fur is extraordinary. Maybe adding a little texture might help, but I do think that the blurriness of the left side of the image detracts from the image and would suggest cropping off the left side to make it a square image. That would put more emphasis on those intense eyes and teeth. A very well done image.
Okay, the title is The Call by Melissa Fargo, 26 points, second place.
And our final picture. This is interesting. Again, very nice picture. It's always hard again when you get the keystoning, when you hold the camera up, you get this distortion, as you see. But this can be very difficult to correct in a building this complex. When you try to correct with certain things, other things get more distorted. Just to show you. So this is not an easy one. Here, I'll do the automatic first. And again, it corrected down here, but this looks a little big up here and is off. These could be just very difficult. And you find out you have to do a lot of complex maneuvers to get everything really, really well there. So that's number, there's no other way you could do that. The other thing I had is when I look at a picture like this, and this again is purely personal taste, is this is a very old building and it really has a lot of feel to it and everything else. And I sometimes try just with the remove tool to remove anything that is just the modern part, such as the sign advertising, you know, Centennial, whatnot, things like that. You have a surveillance camera up front here, just a little tiny thing. And overall, just, you know, and if you say, no, I'd rather not do that, that's fine. But I just like the pure feel of the old building and taking those out. So I think it's a very nice picture. That's my little personal preference. And I think this is a very hard one to correct geometry wise.
Okay. This image of the church is rendered in great, beautiful detail. Not sure what is on the sides of the church, but the church itself seems to be crowded into the frame. Can it be given more room on each side and maybe on top a little bit without adding overwhelming distractions? Also, since the church is pretty monotone in color, it might be an excellent black and white image. Try it and see what happens.
So there's a lot going on the side, so I'm not sure. Let's just give this just a try, just to see. That's 1, 2, 3. I kind of like. But again, that gives you a little more. Again, we get into that tight cropping. This gives you a little more on the sides to work with. I agree there as well. And what was the other? So a black monochrome, you said. Monochrome. Okay, so we'll. Oh. Huh? Sharpen it up. Okay. That's will. Actually, that is interesting in monochrome. That's color. So we've given it as for Dave suggested, we've given it a little more room to breathe. So now we see the building itself. It's not right up against the edges. And I think monochrome, those shapes really come out. Here is our original. Okay.
Okay, the title is Trinity Cathedral by Stephen Spencer, 21 points. And that's our last image of the night.
Yes, I hope I hope you all got something out of it. We're trying this new this year, and these are again just suggestions. I hope I didn't offend anyone. But very, very nice images they were. And thank you very much, everyone, for submitting it, and thank you to our judges.
And I just wanted to say that if this is your second year of competing in B, I don't think anybody has competed for 2 years yet. But if it's your second year, next year, you need to move on to regular competitions. And those of us who get perfect scores must also move on. So no more B for you.
I would like to hear what the
yeah.
contestants actually thought of 3 or 4 people commenting and having a lot of different opinions and conflicting opinions in some cases. It shows you how subjective the images are. And we managed to drag on 35 images for 2¼ hours. Good job, you guys.
Yeah. So again, any comments you have, just let us know. But again, we hope you find this format of help there.
And I do hope that you see the value in post-processing. So if you haven't taken a Photoshop or a Lightroom course, really seriously consider it, because straight out of camera, your photos